Have you ever felt that gnawing sensation, that internal conflict where your gut screams enough, yet your lips remain sealed, your feet rooted to the spot? It's a universal human struggle, this dance between confrontation and quiet endurance. We've all been there, trapped in situations where silence feels like the easier path, the one that avoids ripples. But what if that silence, that staying put, is actually doing more harm than good? What if the true act of courage isn't to hold your tongue but to honor your inner voice and choose the path of departure? This isn't about giving up. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your authentic self. So lean in, because this video is for you, a fellow traveler on the journey of self-discovery, ready to unlock a profound understanding of when walking away becomes an act of profound wisdom. Make sure to subscribe to join our community and never miss out on insights that can truly transform your life. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is not with words, but with your absence. Consider those moments when you're in a conversation or a debate, and it becomes glaringly clear that the other party isn't interested in genuine understanding or respectful exchange. Their objective isn't to find common ground or explore different perspectives. It's solely to dominate, to win, or to force their viewpoint upon you. You might find yourself caught in an endless loop of explanation, re-explanation, and then defending your position against increasingly aggressive or dismissive retorts. This isn't just frustrating, it's a drain on your mental and emotional resources. From a Stoic perspective, this is a classic example of focusing on what is outside your control. You cannot control another person's willingness to listen, their biases, or their desire to be right. What you can control is your participation. Remaining in such an exchange, silently enduring the verbal assault or the willful misunderstanding, is an act of self-betrayal. Psychologically, it reinforces a pattern of allowing your boundaries to be crossed. Each time you stay, you teach others that it's acceptable to treat you in this manner. And more importantly, you teach yourself that your peace and integrity are secondary to avoiding discomfort. Walking away in this scenario isn't a retreat, it's a strategic withdrawal, an assertion of self-respect. It's saying without uttering a single word, my energy is too valuable to waste on a battle that offers no possibility of growth or resolution. It preserves your inner tranquility, a core Stoic virtue, and protects your psychological well-being from unnecessary turbulence. And this act of stepping back allows you to conserve your strength for interactions that are truly productive and enriching rather than depleting. It's a recognition that not all battles are worth fighting, especially when the other side isn't even showing up to the same arena. It's about discerning when your continued presence only serves to legitimize an unproductive dynamic. Another crucial time to walk away is when you consistently find yourself in an environment that actively undermines your values or compromises your integrity. This isn't about minor disagreements or different opinions. It's about a fundamental clash with the principles you hold dear, the moral compass that guides your decisions. Imagine a workplace where dishonesty is not only tolerated, but rewarded, or a social circle where backstabbing and gossip are the primary forms of interaction. You might initially try to effect change from within, to be a voice for what's right, to model ethical behavior. And while that initiative is commendable, there comes a point where continued exposure to such an environment begins to erode your own sense of self. Stoicism teaches us the importance of living in accordance with virtue. When your daily reality forces you to witness or even passively participate in actions that go against your deepest convictions, it creates a profound internal dissonance. This psychological burden can manifest as stress, anxiety, or even a sense of shame. You might start to question yourself, to wonder if your values are too rigid, or if you're somehow misinterpreting the situation. This mental gymnastics is incredibly draining. Staying silent in such an environment is not neutrality, it's a quiet acceptance, a tacit agreement with the prevailing ethos. Walking away in this context is an act of profound self-preservation and a powerful affirmation of your commitment to your own moral framework. It's a declaration that your integrity is not for sale, not for comfort, and not for convenience. It allows you to seek out or create environments where your values are not just respected, but celebrated, where you can thrive authentically. This departure isn't a sign of weakness or an inability to cope. It's a demonstration of strength, a conscious choice to align your external world with your internal truth. It acknowledges that while you cannot control the actions of others, you absolutely control where you direct your energy and under what conditions you are willing to exist. Consider the situations where your contributions, your efforts, and your very presence are consistently undervalued or dismissed. This can happen in relationships, friendships, or even professional settings. You pour your energy, your time, and your heart into something or someone, only to find that your efforts are met with indifference, criticism, or are simply taken for granted. You might rationalize it, thinking that if you just try harder, do more, or prove your worth in another way, things will eventually change. Psychologically, this dynamic can be incredibly damaging. It chips away at your self-esteem, leading you to internalize the message that you are not good enough, or that your value is somehow contingent on external validation that never arrives. From a Stoic perspective, focusing on gaining external appreciation is placing your happiness and peace of mind in the hands of others, which is precisely what Stoicism advises against. Your worth is inherent, not something to be earned through endless striving for someone else's approval. Remaining in a situation where you are consistently undervalued is an ongoing violation of your intrinsic worth. It fosters resentment, bitterness, and a sense of perpetual inadequacy. Walking away, in this instance, is not about seeking revenge or proving a point to the other party. It is a profound act of self-love and self-respect. It's recognizing that you deserve to be in spaces and with people who see and appreciate your light, rather than dimming it. It's understanding that your value doesn't decrease because someone else fails to see it. This departure allows you to create space for relationships and opportunities where reciprocity and mutual respect are the foundations, not the aspirational goals. It teaches you that your time and energy are finite and precious resources, and that investing them where they are continually unacknowledged is a disservice to yourself. It's a powerful affirmation that you are worthy of recognition and that you refuse to settle for anything less. Then there are those times when you find yourself in a constant cycle of trying to fix or save someone who isn't willing to help themselves. This often manifests in deeply empathetic individuals who are drawn to people in distress, believing they can provide the support, guidance, or even the love needed to turn things around. You invest immense emotional energy, offer practical solutions, and stand by them through thick and thin. Yet despite your best efforts, the other person remains stuck in their patterns, makes the same self-sabotaging choices, or even actively resists your attempts to assist them. Psychologically, this can lead to what's known as compassion fatigue or empathic distress. You become emotionally exhausted, frustrated, and can even start to experience feelings of hopelessness as your efforts yield no tangible progress. You might blame yourself, thinking you're not doing enough, or not saying the right thing. From a Stoic viewpoint, we are reminded of the limits of our influence. While we can offer help and support, we cannot compel another person to change or to accept that help if they are not genuinely ready or willing. To try to control their choices or force an outcome is to struggle against what is outside your sphere of control, leading only to vexation and internal turmoil. Remaining in this cycle, silently bearing the burden of their choices, is not true compassion. It's often an unsustainable form of self-sacrifice. It drains your resources, leaving you with little left for your own well-being or for others who might genuinely benefit from your support. Walking away in this scenario is a recognition of healthy boundaries. It's an acceptance of the difficult truth that you cannot save someone who doesn't wish to be saved, and that sometimes the only way for them to confront their own issues is to face the natural consequences of their choices without your constant intervention. This act is not heartless. It is an assertion of self-preservation. It allows you to reclaim your emotional energy, to heal from the strain of constant disappointment, and to direct your compassion towards those who are truly receptive and engaged in their own journey of growth. It teaches you that while you can be a beacon of hope, you cannot carry another person's entire ship for them. Another compelling reason to walk away is when a situation, relationship, or even a job consistently compromises your mental or physical health. This isn't about occasional stress or temporary setbacks. It's about a pervasive, ongoing negative impact that leaves you feeling drained, anxious, depressed, or even physically ill. Perhaps you're constantly on edge, struggling with sleep, experiencing persistent headaches, or finding that your immune system is compromised. You might initially push through, telling yourself it's just a phase, or that you'll adapt. Psychologically, prolonged exposure to high stress or toxic environments leads to chronic stress, which has devastating effects on both mind and body. Your body's fight or flight response stays activated, leading to a cascade of negative physiological changes. Mentally, you might develop coping mechanisms that are ultimately unhelpful, such as emotional numbing, avoidance, or excessive rumination. Stoicism places a high value on maintaining one's inner tranquility and robust health, understanding that these are crucial for living a virtuous and effective life. To knowingly remain in a situation that is systematically eroding your health is to act against your own well-being, a foundational aspect of self-care. It's a failure to prioritize your most precious resources. Staying silent and enduring such conditions isn't resilience. It's often a slow form of self-destruction. Walking away in this context is an urgent act of self-preservation, a courageous decision to prioritize your fundamental well-being above all else. It's an acknowledgement that no amount of external gain, be it financial, social, or relational, is worth a forfeiture of your health. This departure allows you to step back, heal, and rebuild your reserves, creating space for environments and choices that support your vitality. It teaches you that listening to your body and mind when they send distress signals is not a weakness, but a profound form of wisdom. It's an affirmation that your life and health are invaluable, and you are worthy of a life lived in peace and good health. Then there are those moments when you realize that your continued presence is enabling harmful behavior in another person. This often occurs in close relationships, whether familial, romantic, or friendly, where you might genuinely love or care for the individual. You might find yourself constantly making excuses for their actions, cleaning up their messes, or shielding them from the natural consequences of their choices. Perhaps they have issues with addiction, anger, irresponsibility, or even emotional manipulation. You stay because you hope they'll change, or because you fear what might happen if you're not there to cushion their falls. Psychologically, this dynamic creates a codependent pattern. You become invested in their problems, often at the expense of your own needs and boundaries. The other person learns that they can continue their behavior because there are no real repercussions, as you will always be there to mitigate the damage. From a Stoic perspective, true compassion involves helping others become better versions of themselves, but it does not involve enabling their vices or shielding them from growth. To allow someone to continue harming themselves or others by your silent facilitation is not virtuous. It is ultimately detrimental to both parties. Remaining in an enabling role, silently observing the destructive patterns, only perpetuates the cycle. Walking away in this scenario is an incredibly difficult but profoundly necessary act of tough love. It's a statement that you will no longer participate in a dynamic that allows them to avoid accountability. It sets a boundary, not just for yourself, but for them, by allowing them to experience the full weight of their choices. This departure is not a punishment. It is an opportunity for both individuals to break free from an unhealthy pattern. It allows you to reclaim your autonomy and focus on your own growth, while simultaneously creating a space where the other person might finally be compelled to confront their issues without your safety net. It teaches you that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to step back and allow them the dignity of facing their own journey, even if it's a difficult one. Sometimes walking away is necessary when you've outgrown a situation, a relationship, or an environment that no longer aligns with your personal growth and evolving aspirations. Imagine a friendship that once brought joy but now feels stagnant, characterized by old patterns and a lack of mutual inspiration. Or a career path that was once fulfilling but now feels restrictive, preventing you from exploring new passions or developing new skills. You might feel a sense of loyalty, guilt, or fear of the unknown that keeps you tethered to these familiar but ultimately unfulfilling circumstances. Psychologically, staying in situations you've outgrown can lead to feelings of boredom, restlessness, and a profound sense of unrealized potential. It's like wearing clothes that no longer fit. They might cover you, but they restrict your movement and make you uncomfortable. You might find yourself constantly reminiscing about the past or fantasizing about a different future, rather than fully engaging with your present. From a Stoic viewpoint, growth and continuous improvement are essential aspects of living a virtuous life. To remain deliberately stagnant, to cling to what is familiar but no longer serves your development, is to resist the natural flow of life and to neglect your own potential for flourishing. Remaining silently in such a state is a passive acceptance of mediocrity, a denial of your own forward momentum. Walking away in this context is an act of courageous self-evolution. It's an acknowledgement that just as nature constantly sheds and renews, so too must we release what no longer serves us to make space for new growth. This departure is not a rejection of the past, it's an embrace of the future, a bold step towards aligning your external reality with your internal development. It allows you to seek out new experiences, new relationships, and new challenges that will stimulate your mind, ignite your spirit, and propel you further along your path of personal mastery. It teaches you that growth is an ongoing process, and sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to create the space for that growth to occur. Another critical moment to walk away is when you realize you are consistently compromising your own needs and desires for the sake of others, leading to a deep sense of resentment or self-neglect. This often happens to people who are natural caregivers, people pleasers, or those who have been conditioned to prioritize others' happiness above their own. You might always be the one to adjust your schedule, suppress your opinions, or sacrifice your own ambitions to accommodate the wants and needs of a partner, family member, friend, or even a colleague. You do it quietly, perhaps believing it's the right thing to do, or fearing that expressing your own needs will lead to conflict or rejection. Psychologically, this chronic self-sacrifice leads to a depletion of your own emotional reserves. You start to feel invisible, unheard, and eventually resentful towards those you are constantly accommodating. This resentment, often unexpressed, festers internally, leading to bitterness, passive aggressiveness, or even a breakdown in the relationship over time. From a Stoic perspective, while concern for others is virtuous, neglecting your own well-being and needs to an extreme degree is not sustainable and ultimately diminishes your capacity to be truly helpful. True self-respect involves recognizing and honoring your own needs as valid. Remaining in this pattern of silent self-neglect is a continuous act of self-betrayal, teaching both yourself and others that your needs are secondary or unimportant. Walking away in this scenario is a powerful reclamation of self-worth. It's a clear statement that your needs matter, that your desires are valid, and that you refuse to live a life constantly defined by the absence of your own voice. This departure isn't about becoming selfish. It's about establishing healthy boundaries and advocating for your own well-being. It allows you to create space in your life to identify and pursue your own passions, to rest when you need to, and to engage in relationships that are built on mutual respect and reciprocity rather than one-sided sacrifice. It teaches you that honoring yourself is not a luxury, but a fundamental requirement for a fulfilling and authentic life. Finally, consider those moments when you are faced with a situation that demands a no, but every fiber of your being is screaming yes to avoid conflict, disapproval, or perceived inconvenience. This could be agreeing to an unreasonable request at work, staying in a conversation that makes you uncomfortable, or maintaining a commitment you no longer genuinely wish to uphold. You stay silent and comply, even as an internal alarm blares, because the thought of disappointing someone, creating tension, or dealing with the aftermath of a refusal feels overwhelming. Psychologically, this pattern of overriding your authentic no leads to a deep sense of powerlessness and self-betrayal. Each time you silence your true feelings and comply out of fear, you chip away at your autonomy and reinforce the belief that your comfort and boundaries are less important than external approval. This can lead to chronic stress, resentment, and a feeling of being constantly manipulated or taken advantage of. From a Stoic perspective, self-mastery involves acting in accordance with reason and living authentically, rather than being swayed by external pressures or the fear of others' reactions. To compromise your inner conviction for the sake of avoiding temporary discomfort is to relinquish control of your internal world to external forces. Remaining silently compliant in such instances is not peaceful. It's a quiet form of self-sabotage, building up a reservoir of unexpressed frustration. Walking away, in this context, Even if it's just walking away from the temptation to say yes when you mean no, is a profound act of self-assertion and courage. It's saying my internal truth and my boundaries are non-negotiable. This departure allows you to reclaim your voice, to honor your authentic feelings, and to build a life where your choices are driven by your own values and well-being, rather than by fear or obligation. It teaches you that the discomfort of saying no and setting a boundary is often far less damaging than the long-term cost of silently enduring what does not serve you. It's an affirmation that your peace of mind is worth protecting, even if it means navigating temporary friction.